slightly to 204 million, and the last year the assets further reduced to 200 million. Did these assets include the land on which KICOTEC stands? Governor, you can ask for help.
I think once again, we need clarity from acting CEO on this because they are involved in the preparation of the accounts.
Acting CEO.
Okay, through our honorable chair and our excellence, our governor, the assets shown on the analysis does not include the value of the land. Thank you.
Chair, can I write on your question on the same?
Proceed.
So if he says that the asset, the figures, do not include the value of the land, then how are these assets now amounting to over 200 million, yet you've claimed from the initial that they were 168? Where do you get the additional figures?
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Senator. The figure increased from 168 to 200, yeah? Because when KICOTEC made a loss of 90 million, there was an element of a deferred tax, which is treated like a deferred tax asset. So basically, it is normally added to our current assets. So that is why you could be able to see the value of the assets increased.
Eddie?
Do you have valuation report of any form with regards to these assets?
Through the chair, no.
So what are you basing these values on?
Through the chair, as I stated earlier, when I joined KICOTEC, we found that the list of assets which were amounting to 168 million, of which we could not state the makeup of those assets because there were no records supporting the 168 million.
Sorry, what's your name? I just want to have a good conversation. More, isn't it?
Yoma, Peter Yoma.
Yoma?
Yes.
And you are? What is your title in the company?
I'm the acting CEO.
Currently?
Yes.
The 168 that you're talking about was not the value of assets. I've read your reports and I was listening to you presenting. The 168 that you talk about, which actually is found, I think, in page 4, okay, is the amount that the county injected over a period of 3 years.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
And it is presumptuous that that amount was spent on assets. As far as I'm concerned up to now, there is no presentation to this committee that that amount was spent on assets.
Yes.
So you're working on assumption that 168 was spent on assets.
Exactly.
But you don't have evidence to that at 55.
Exactly.
So I'm asking you, when you look at your asset values that you've given here, the 238 million, the 249 million, the 202 million, okay? Put also in mind that you had responded to the question of unsupported plant and equipment. You had put your own response that on your asset, you're just doing estimations. So even those estimations, what are these values based on? As their valuation that has been done on these assets, do you have any valuation reports?
No.
What did you use to estimate the value of these reports, of these assets?
Okay, through the chair. We do not use anything to estimate the values of those assets. What we found the analysis of those assets amounting to 168. And basing on the list of, basing on the values we found.
CEO, turn to page 4. Just turn to page 4. Because you're insisting on something that I've cautioned you not to insist on. These are your documents. They are not our documents. On page 4 of your responses, during this inception period, KICOTEC received financial report from the county government financial support, by way of purchase of equipment and materials, construction of physical infrastructure, and meeting of operational costs through the parent ministry. That support is further explained to be amounting to 168 million, which you're referring to, over 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020, and 2021. Are you seeing what I mean? So the 168 million you're referring to did not all go to assets. It went to operation costs, it went to physical infrastructure, and it went to equipment and materials. The response you're given to us here does not break down how that 168 was spent across those 3 different votes. So therefore, it cannot be the basis for valuation of these assets. Are we together up to there?
Yes, we're together.
Yes. So I'm asking a very simple question. How did you come with 237 as the value of assets, okay, in the first financial year in question? How was that value arrived at?
Through the chair. I think I would say, I would say we, in this value for 238,
238 million, yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I need to apologize because the value of the land is indicated on the assets, which is making it to 238.
And what is the value of the land?
What is the value of the land?
At the moment, unless I revert to the financial statement, I can't say the exact figure right now.
Chair, allow me to help Eddie. Senator Eddie.
And Governor, you know, we also have the former CEO.
Is the former CEO here?
The former CEO is here. You should be responding to helping your...
Then this meeting has just started.
Chairman, I think let's bring in the former CEO because he's the one who knows, together with the former chief officers who are there, they are the ones who know how this 168 million came about and what its components were. Maybe let's start with, say, former CEO.
Before they do that, Senator Ladama, put yourself on record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Then,
thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Ladama Lekena, Minority Whip, Senator in Nairobi County, and a member of this committee.
proceed. The 2 officers respond to the questions.
Let's start with the former CEO because the members of the board of KICOTEC, they say they came around 2019, 2020, and KICOTEC by then was being operated under the ministry. And when they came, the draft accounts, the abstract of accounts which they were given, at least 168 million. Can you explain it?
Thank you, Your Excellency and Chair, through the Governor. I will respond on the issue of the assets, the 168, but I would like to request through the Governor the issue of the financial records to be responded to by maybe the former CEO.
The issue of?
The financial records, financial statements.
And the issue of land?
Chair,
ownership.
Chair, wait.
You respond to that as well.
Chair, wait. If you allow me. What's your name, gentleman?
My name is Justus Macau.
Justus.
Yes.
When was KICOTEC started?
KICOTEC started in, it was gazetted through a Corporation Act in
I've asked you the
November
year.
November 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Were you working in the county in 2019? What was your role?
Then I was a chief officer trade.
Of trade, isn't it?
Yes.
Where was KICOTEC at that time?
It was a
Under
unit,
the Ministry of
It
Trade.
was a unit under the Ministry of Trade.
Isn't it? As
Yes.
a program.
Yeah.
Were you on the board at that time?
There was no board before
Of the program then?
before the KICOTEC was gazetted through the Corporation Act.
Yes.
There was no board.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it running under your ministry?
Yes.
Were you aware about the program?
Yes.
So why do you want somebody else to answer before you?
I think you didn't get me right.
You were
No
the
due
chief
respect.
officer of
I was
trade
the
at
chief
that
officer
time.
of Trade. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Therefore, you're the chief accounting officer for that program.
Yes.
True or false?
That's
Under
right.
under PFM Act 149, you are the accounting officer.
Yeah.
Okay? So you are the person I wanted to answer this question. Because at that time, it was not a corporation under 182 and 184 of the PFM Act. It was a program. Are you getting me?
I get yours.
You are the one who was saying that at that time it was not, there was no CEO, there was no board, it was a program. So you were then the accounting officer. So for that year, you must help us understand what was happening at KICOTEC.
And just to add to that, Senator Eddie,
No,
Chief
you know,
Officer.
members, I think we
let
need
me
to
clarify
listen.
this. No,
Wait.
kindly.
We're out of order.
Kindly.
Please wait. Members, I think we need to maintain the flow. A question had been asked to the two to respond to. Let them deal with that, and then they will respond to Eddie, and then I will come to you.
I didn't have a question, Chair. I just wanted that he also became a member of the board when you constituted the board in 2020. Just yes or no?
Yes.
Please now answer the questions through the chair.
So just start with the first set of questions that were asked, and then you will respond to Eddie, and then we proceed.
And for that particular financial year, Chair, it is him who must help us because he's the one who midwifed the changing from a program to a full-fledged corporation, a county entity. So for those financial year, the finances are up to you. Do you get why you're liable for that?
Can we allow the gentleman to answer the question? Please reduce your interjection so that we have the floor.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
As I stated earlier, the procurement of assets for KICOTEC before it became a corporation was done under the Ministry of Trade. The monies were voted under the line ministries. We procured assets, and once KICOTEC became a corporation, those assets were transferred to KICOTEC board. Assets worth 168. What I do not have now is now the list of the assets and the cost of those assets that were transferred. Okay? Those are 3-4 years down the line. I cannot pinpoint these assets were this much, they were this number. I do not have those details.
You see, Chair, let me just help you.
Let's start with the Senator Ladama, and then we go to Senator Wambua, and then Senator Mutinda, please.
All right, Governor, this gentleman that you've allowed to respond to the query, Macau, has taken us to a very interesting direction. And I think the direction that he has taken us is a direction that I think you can resolve. Because one, any asset that is bought, there has to be a vendor who is authorized. It must be in the procurement plan for the county. So what I would like to request so that we can move forward, because this business of you saying you don't know what the assets were, you're actually not telling the truth. Because there's a procurement plan. There's a vendor who was paid by the county government. So I would request, Mr. Chairman, that the county government provide this committee with the name of the vendor, the assets which were bought, the payment method, because they were transferred from this Trade Department. I've looked at what the Auditor General has said. Up to 2021, I think financial year 2022, since the operation of the KICOTEC as a county corporation, no direct cash transfers were made. But prior to that, the assets were bought by the ministry. So if you take the county executive audit and you look at their financials when they were purchased, you can be able to respond to that query. So my advice to you is that if you do not have the responses here, don't say I do not know. You know, seek for time to provide that list so that we're able to follow and close that chapter.
Chair.
Let me.
Yes. So, Chair, you know the responses that are coming through arise from questions 3 and 4. Chair, there are things you should also rule on. You don't have to wait for the conclusion of this discussion. One of the things that you can rule on is that I don't think there is anyone before you today who has capacity or knowledge of the value of the assets of KICOTEC. And if they do, they are not willing to disclose that, because Mara, it is 168 million. Mara, it is 238 million. Mara, the 168 million is all the money that was given to this unit over a period of 3 years. When it is convenient, you say, no, that's the value of the assets. On that matter, Chair, let's just, let the chips lie where they have fallen. On the matter of the land, because to me that is actually the real elephant in the room, if you ask me. Why is it that the county government of Kitui does not own the land on which KICOTEC stands for a project that, in their own testimony, hundreds of millions of shillings has been pumped into? Yeah, when I did business studies many years ago, my teacher told me, and I trust him, that land is an important factor of production. That before you do anything, you must own land. Ask these people before us to tell us who owns the land that KICOTEC operates from, and how was it appropriated? Because it was appropriated under the chief officer's watch when he was the chief officer for trade. How did they acquire the land on which KICOTEC stands today? So we also don't, Chair, what we're looking for is a solution to a problem. Not stories. You know what I'm hearing now are stories. You know, a lot of stories. That's not helping anyone. We want a solution to this problem. Who owns this land? How is it that KICOTEC today stands on land that they don't own?
Just on that point, just to add on that, if you allow me to piggyback on the query asked by Senator Ambua, under which arrangement was KICOTEC hosted by the Polytechnic? Is there a lease agreement? Is there a lease that has been drafted? And if in that lease, how much is paid to the Polytechnic, or is it for free? So those are the queries that we need to find to understand.
Yeah, through the governor, please respond to those questions.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Lidam, for clarification on asset register. I believe the asset register that was provided to the Auditor General during 2018-2019 financial year should have included, because that was done sometimes in September towards December 2019, should have some of the assets that were under KICOTEC before they were transferred to, that were under the Ministry of
For your
Trade.
information,
Yeah.
that is one of the audit queries. There was no asset register provided.
That's right. There was no asset register for KICOTEC provided, but 2018-2019, it is asset register for the county government, because that is when the assets were procured before then. So the asset register for county government should give a glimpse on the number of assets that were owned by the Ministry of Trade, and you can pick from there. Now, in terms of land ownership, and I mentioned, Senator, when I came in, that I became Chief Officer of Trade in 2019, August. By then, the KICOTEC operational and everything was in place. As we were just, what I did was to midwife the County Corporation Act and the County Corporation Act regulation for KICOTEC. So everything had been done when I was not there. I would not wish to comment on the ownership of KICOTEC, but His Excellency the Governor has shown the document who owns the land.
Chair, just on a point of order, Chair. What is your position? And what was your position in 2019?
I was the Chief Officer of Trade.
Just stop right there. What is the purpose of a Chief Officer? Are you not the accounting officer?
Yes, I was.
So then why would you come to this Senate committee and say you wish not to comment on the ownership of the land? Did you understand your job then?
Yes, I did.
Then why can't you respond to that? Mr. Chairman, this gentleman must respond to that because you are the accounting officer.
Thank you.
And I want, before you respond, I want to write on his question. Did you understand the provisions of the Kitui Government Corporation Act?
Yes, I did.
You understood?
Yeah.
And you understood the role that you played as far as that county act is concerned?
Yes.
I want the legal officer to read out. Oh, you are not ready. Read out the provisions of your own law, which I'm sure you participated in formulating the law. This is related to the question that Senator Lama is asking. Proceed, legal officer.
Thank you, Chair. The relevant provision in the Kitui County Corporations Act is Section 29, which provides for accountability, and it provides that a board shall be responsible for the proper management of the affairs of a county corporation and shall be accountable for the monies, the financial business, and the management of a county corporation.
Very well. So the board members, former board members who are here, and yourself, you had a responsibility under your own law as a board member, and you as Waziri then, to be accountable to the resources of KICOTEC, including the land, including the monies. We have seen the withdrawals that were made by Regina Musepi. You are saying you are not aware. Were you not receiving reports? You were receiving reports. So I want you to respond to Senator Ladama and also respond to what actions you took based on law as read out by the legal officer.
Okay. The ownership of the land, I will just go back to what the governor said. The land is owned by Siongila Polytechnic. Okay? And Siongila Polytechnic is the owner of the land where KICOTEC sits.
So how did you begin to operate from that land? That's a question that you're trying to run away from.
I'm not running away from.
But just tell us, how did you get the land?
That's what I'm trying to explain to you, Senator, that when I came to KICOTEC, the construction has already been done. The operations were going on. Okay?
You see,
You asked, Chair, I think we are being taken around.
Waziri, you are very annoying. You are very extremely annoying. And I told you that this committee has a power similar to the High Court. What you are supposed to tell this committee, when you came in as the Waziri, CEO Trade, you should have asked for necessary land document. If the land was not owned by you, you should have asked for a lease agreement. And that's the question that Senator Ladama asked you previously and you didn't respond to. Please give us clear answers to the questions that we are asking you.
Or if you want us to make it simpler for you, we can also as a committee. KICOTEC, when you entered KICOTEC when it had been constructed, isn't it? It was going on. That's good. And then you continue operating there.
Yes, the KICOTEC continued operating.
Under what agreement?
And I didn't ask.
Because if you're running away from, yes, they were already there. You don't know what transpired there. But now, when you took charge as a chief officer, you continue to operate.
Yes.
What was the arrangement that you continue operating on with the Polytechnic? Did you prepare a list document? Did you even bother to ask whether there is an ongoing agreement on purchase? Under what agreement did you continue?
I did not ask the question.
Just on a point of order. Let me try to help you. And I'll give you an analogy of Kenyatta University and the hospital. They both sit in government land. The Polytechnic is government land. Just try to be a bit candid and tell us the truth. Was there any lease agreement between KICOTEC and the Polytechnic? That's question number one. If there wasn't, was there any money which was paid to the Polytechnic? Number three, was the occupation of the Polytechnic land by force? Those are the three scenarios. It has to be one of them.
Please answer in specific terms.
The example you've given about Kenyatta University, KICOTEC sits on Siongela Polytechnic, which is owned by county government. They all belong to the county government. Okay. About the lease, I said. It's, if I'm not wrong, the Siongela Polytechnic is an institution under the county government.
But how is it? How is the land owned by the county government? You know, Patrick. Chair. At this point, then I think this witness should be perhaps put under oath. Yeah, because Chair, the county government is sitting today, many years after you left, is itself saying that the land belongs to Siongela Youth Polytechnic. Him is saying it belongs to the county government. Chair, now that he doesn't have to tell us the truth, let us not provoke him to tell us the truth. When you came in as chief officer, did you find a dispute between yourselves and Siongela Youth Polytechnic?
No, I didn't find.
There's no dispute.
I didn't.
Chair, there's a management of Siongela. They are here. They can tell us how their land was grabbed.
Yeah. Who is Siongela? Okay, give her a mic to respond to Senator Wambua. Sergeant Atam.
Chair, point of order. Chair, may I request that now you put, because of these particular issues, you put the two.
Oh,
I know, but you see,
the governor
because of 125, this is a witness account. I know 179 gives the governor the ultimate chief executive position in this conversation, but because this is a witness, basically we are summoning you as a witness. I mean, we are inviting you as a witness in this conversation. I think that you are witnessing under 125. So because of that 125, then you must be able to take an oath, the two of you, okay? Because we want to establish what is going on here. And I think that you're giving the governor a burden that's not the governor's burden. So that, I think, Chair, you can rule on me, but totally under 125, the two must be under oath. The former chief officer and the Siongela team that is going to talk about this matter.
I think you need to make a decision on how we are going to move as far as this is concerned. Because these particular officers, we have two groups of officers from Kitui. We have the officers who have accompanied the governor, the current team in Kitui county government. And then we have the former board of the KICOTEC, who were to accompany the former governor who has not come. So if you decide that each of those witnesses takes an oath, I have no problem. They can take an oath.
Yeah.
Starting with the former Waziri and then the former, are you the former or the
I'm
current?
still current. I was
Siongila,
and I am.
you are current.
I was and I am.
You are and you are still there. So, okay, since the legal officer had directed that you were individually summoned, I think you will individually take the oath. Starting with you, the clerk, please.
Let's put people on that one.
Chair, before they take an oath, just point of order. May the legal officer just tell you the implication of being under oath? Yes, I think it's important. I think it's important. Legal officer. Because this issue must be solved once and for all.
Yeah.
It's a quick one, 30 seconds.
Very quickly, please. And you realize, honorable members, we have one more presentation to go from EACC. Yeah. You see the issues are, yeah. Proceed, legal officer, quickly.
Chair, I'll refer to Section 21 of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, which provides that a person who is being examined under oath, or in terms of Section 20, which provides for the examination of witnesses, shall be required to answer any question put to the person in connection with the subject of the inquiry, and to produce any document or information that the person is requested to produce under that section, despite the fact that the answer or the document would incriminate or expose the person to criminal or civil proceedings in a court of law.
That means if you lie before this committee and we get to find the truth, that is a criminal offense. Proceed, madam.
I, Maggie Kitonga, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this committee in respect of the matters before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So God help me.
Very well. So proceed to tell us about the ownership of this land. And is there any dispute? How KICOTEC came in to take away your land?
Through the chair, I hope you are going to listen to how KICOTEC landed to Siongila Polytechnic. On 4th, 2018, 4th, it was 4th when? April 2018 is when KICOTEC started constructions in the land. We came, we asked the manager who is with us what was happening. He told us that a group of officers came, uprooted greenhouses that we had planted there, and started digging the holes for construction. We went. The next time that we came, we found mushrooming buildings coming up. We asked the manager, you told us what is happening. He told us that the officers came. That first time, they never came again, but we are seeing also construction going on. My board decided to go to the office to find out what is happening, because nobody has told us what is happening in the land. So we went. Fortunately, we found the officers there. After sharing a bit, they said that the land belongs to the county government because it is devolved. That ministry is devolved, so it is theirs, and they are going to do great things in that area. We waited and they said that they'll come in 3 days' time. We waited until 2019 is when we are told to stop enrolling students and move out and close the polytechnic. We told the manager that that one is not going to happen. You are an officer. We are going to enroll the students. You just, when you asked, say we are enrolling, not you. So it continued. Now there was now that wrangles of wanting to take the land. One evening, the manager was not there. He had gone on official duties. I was called by the teacher on duty around 6, 7, that officers have come and they need the title deeds of the institution. Actually, there was a lot of harassment that time. When they came, when he called me, that teacher on duty, I told him, find a way, because he was being arrested, find a way of getting the title deeds and move out with them. Actually, that is what he did. He ran away and left the officer there. After 2-3 days, we returned the title deeds to the office. Then after that, we were called by the office to go and surrender the title deeds. When we went, we were given a day to surrender the title deeds. Actually, I remember, even before then, we notified the people concerned in that area. We wrote a letter. We had notified our senator present here with us. We wrote to the office that time. We gave also a copy to the MCR, and that is now 2019 when now the fight started off. It was serious because during the meetings, we were forced to accept. Then we said, for us to accept, let there be a public participation, because this land belongs to the community, and we are not the community. Let them come and say yes. It was done on a Sunday, 4 p.m. I did not attend, and a few others. After that is when now they are talking about it was registered, because they went back to the office and said that the public participation was done and the public has, I'm sorry to say, the borders who were around that area came to the chief's office and said, we did not accept the board. Then from there, the community members contributed money and went to court. So we went to court. The files that we have all the documents of what I'm talking about. We had a court case which went on until 2022, November. That is when our court ended. And in between, we had threats that move out, we go back to the court because the first lawyer passed on. When the court was going on, community got another one and continued. So I strongly say the land belongs to Siongila Polytechnic, bought by the community. Yes, bought by the community and divided by the community. Thank you.
Tell us about this other monster that was registered called the EPZ that was attempting to also own the land.
We only came to know about EPZ when we went to the office, when we were going to the office to give out the title deeds. It's when we were told that great things are going to be done in Siongila and the people in Siongila will benefit out of it. So we don't know about it.
Thank you, Madam. You have been so very helpful, but Senator Mutinda?
Thank you, Madam. You've really been elaborative, but I wanted you give us more details on two personnel. You said that officers, you were summoned to the office to issue the title. Who summoned you to the office, and is that person here? Number two, the first time that people came from the county to take the land, you said the manager. Who is that manager? Is the manager here?
Yes, yes.
Please identify them and let us know who they are.
Those people who? The manager? The manager is here.
What is his name?
Lance Kai.
Stand up. We want to see your face. There he is. Who else?
That is now the manager, Siongila Polytechnic.
No, I'm talking of the people who came to victimize you, to evict you and put structures from the county.
When they came, he was in place.
Or he was in the office?
Yes.
So who came? Nani alikuja?
The manager, you can help, but you need to take an oath.
As the manager is taking an oath, just quickly to save time, you said you were summoned to take the titles to the county.
Yes.
Who did you take the titles to? Or who summoned you? Nani aliwaita?
Tulipa na officer wa trade.
Nani? Anaitwa?
Nani? Alikuwa anaitwa somebody. Alienda hata tulionana when he was exiting because we were talking on phone until I told him now I'm tired, I cannot help you. Nimeshindwa.
Okay.
Yes.
Proceed to take the oath quickly and respond.
I, Lance Kaigari, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this committee in respect of the matters before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
So proceed to tell us the people who came to harass you people and take away your land.
Well, when the people who came were then chief officer for trade and the chief officer for education. But I cannot remember the name for the chief officer for trade, but I can remember the chief officer for education was Geoffrey Changangu. So these two officers came to the office. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I was not in. So they met the teacher on duty, who I had handed over the keys of the whole institution to. So they harassed the teacher on duty to hand over the title deeds. Then there was that communication between him and the chair board that they should not surrender the title deeds. So the title deeds were taken to the chairperson's home for safety, and the officers were not able to access the title deeds. But actually what happened is, on an evening, before the onset of everything else, on an evening, late evening, I reside within the compound. So late in the evening, around 7, CEMs of the county government then visited the institution. The names, there were so many of them, around more than 10 CEMs. of the county.
So the entire government was there,
Yes.
except the governor.
On one evening, that is past working hours, around 7 or so, came in, and when I was out, I saw a fleet of vehicles, got concerned what's happening, approached them, and then when I approached them, they were the far end of the institution land. So I was concerned, who are these who are in our land without notifying us? So when I went to check, it was the CECMs. So they told me, we want to develop your land, asked me what problems you had for the institution. I mentioned a few, and in a week or so, work started. The institution was fenced. We have a problem of water. We were supplied with almost 10 tanks of 10,000 liters of water, and a borehole was drilled in the compound. And well, I thought that was good until sometimes later now is when the minister then for infrastructure, the name was Mr. Kakundi, yes, and trade, I cannot remember trade, the CC for trade, came in with officers from the public works and told me that they had spotted land in the compound and wanted to construct a factory. So me being an employee of the county government, and these are my bosses, I would not say anything. So these people came in and work started. Then this alerted the board about it. So the board actually visited the governor's office. They were not given a kind reception because after all the land belongs to Siongila Vocational Training Center, which is Siongila Polytechnic, and it's devolved, so it belongs to the county government. So that's how and actually did not agree to hand over the title deeds of the land to the county government, which forced the chief officer of trade and chief officer of education to storm the school office and demand for the title deeds. But they were not able to.
What are the names of those two chief officers?
I remember for education is Geoffrey Changangu. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
and it was forced now through the various meetings that they had with the chairperson and the board that now if the title deed is to be handed over to them, then a public participation is to be done. So all this was happening I was not in school then, I was out on official duty. So when I came back, I met the public participation meeting. So I was told by my CECM then, Mr. Kivoto.
I want you to summarize because after your presentation, I'm going to give a ruling that Siongila Polytechnic, you will have to make a written submission of the things you have said through the governor and submit it to us in 14 days. But just summarize what you are saying.
So now the public participation was done, and the community agreed to hand over the land, and then stakeholders of the institution went to court. The court managed to rule that the status quo continues, so the institution was allowed to continue teaching. And the court order happened, and the institution was managed to be saved by the court order until the case was terminated. Thank you.
You want to add something, Madam?
Yes, something small. during that day of public participation, we have something written that I also attended. But they had a meeting in an hotel. Yes, a witness, he was the secretary. I was not there, and my name was put there.
Okay, in your submission, you say that and attach all the relevant documents.
Yes.
The ones you had made reference to.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
May I request that this gentleman goes on oath?
Yes.
And then respond to the queries that are asked, because you're the chief officer.
Can the clerk, please? And the chairperson of the KICOTEC is also here. You will also take an oath and also respond to questions that members are going to ask.
I, Justice Kali Makau, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this committee in respect of the matters before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So, Senator Ladama, you can now ask the questions after the oath. And because he has just taken the oath, some of the questions you asked earlier, you can ask now.
Now, Governor, I will ask you, former officer, because you know the county government is still an institution. Mr. Makau, could you please tell us your position back in 2019? And then could you please tell us about the procurement plan for the money that was transferred, or rather which was used to purchase equipment for KICOTEC, if indeed it was approved by the Assembly? Because whenever you have something called the Annual Development Plan and you have a CIDP. Based on the Auditor General, it appeared that purchasing of equipment was carried out in 3 financial years. You were the CEO, Chief Officer, which indeed you are the accounting officer for the Ministry of Trade under the Kitui County Government. So could you please tell us about your procurement plan for that particular year? Tell us the name of the vendor, whether the vendor was approved, okay? And also whether the Assembly approved for that department to be able to spend that money to buy those equipment. And I'm referring to the first amount of 168 million Kenya shillings. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and Senator. I would like to state that my position was the Chief Officer, Trade, Ministry of Trade, starting September 2019. 2019-2020, we were implementing a budget that had been approved by the County Assembly before the end of the previous financial year. And I can say there are vote lines that were there for implementation of programs in KICOTEC. What I do not have now, which I need time to seek, is the procurement plan and the items that were procured during 2019-2020 when I started being Chief Officer of Trade. Yes.
What about for the next financial year, which is 2020-2021?
Again, there was a budget, but again, I would like to seek more time to interrogate the budget and the procurement plan then. But everything that was being spent was approved by the County Assembly.
Okay. Yeah. Who was the county officer of 2018-2019 at the inception of KICOTEC?
It's a colleague called Clement Munyidia.
So when you took over the office in 2019-2020, because you said you took over August or September, yeah. Which? Is it August or September?
I know it's around, I cannot tell exactly, but I know it's around that time.
So when you took over from him, it's like a clerk of this committee taking over. There's something which is normally called a legacy report, where you now take over and you're told this is how far we've gone. Were you not aware were you presented with a legacy report of the previous financial year, and were you told how much money had already been spent out of the 168 to be able to purchase equipment?
What I can clarify now, Senator, is that there was an handover report that I signed with the outgoing chief officer. Again, I would also need to look, I didn't interrogate it, because when we were being summoned, we were told to come and answer questions relating to 1920 to 2122. And the issue that were in the audit queries, the issue of asset register was there, but I didn't look at the
Mr. Chairman, my last question to the witness is that during the financial year 2022-2023, were you still the chief officer of trade? And at that time, had the transfer of KICOTEC now been transferred to the corporation?
Which year did you say? 2022, 2023?
Because you came in 2019, 2020. Yeah. So you officiated 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021, 2021, 2022. What about 2022, 2023, which is from July to the time when we did our elections?
I was chief officer for trade 1920, and I think part of 2021. Mr. Mboka is here, was part of the board that was called. He's the one who came in after me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, what you're saying is that apart from you, there are other individuals who also took over from you, who also ended up officiating the purchasing of the equipment. Because you're saying you're only there for 1 year. Were you there for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years?
Literally 1.5 years.
1.5 years.
Yeah,
so who took over from you? Because the auditor has queried the 3 financial years for the amount of 168, even before we get to the 500 million.
Yeah.
We're now trying to, first of all, clarify the 168.
Thank you. Thank you.
So who else was there after you?
There was Mudoka, Richard Mudoka.
Yes.
And also Mr. Mbindu was also part of.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to suggest as follows, that the 3 gentlemen be able to submit a report on their financials. And also, Governor, you have to look at your executive budget, because that is where this vote was, so that we can be able to follow through and then understand where the money was lost. Before now, Chairman, you lead us now into the next part of the 500 million in the corporation, so we can follow the money trail. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I want us to exhaust with this witness, and then the next witness of interest is a former chairperson. And then from there, we can now move to EACC. I think we have spent a lot of time on this.
I usually prefer with the senator of the county that we are processing has got more attention. But witness, just help me, Justice here. Help me understand. Do you have a breakdown, just in terms of lump sum amounts, of how 168 million is spread over those 3 financial years? What was the entire 168 million spent in 2018, 2019? And for the avoidance of doubt, just turn to page 4. Page 4 of the response. You can get it. This is the response of the county by KICOTEC. Are you there? So I've got 2 very simple questions. If you don't answer them now, you can answer them in your correspondence. There is a financing support of 168 million. You can see it. Do you have breakdown of when that money was spent within those 3 years? Or do you think that all of them were spent in one financial year?
I do not have the breakdown, but given time we'll be able to provide. But the procurement for KICOTEC assets started in 2018-19. Then part of it was done in 2019-2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the first breakdown. And then in each corresponding years, in your best understanding, do you have a breakdown on the 3 votes that this correspondence is showing? Because I want us to live here in one agreement. Before you took oath, the understanding was that one...
Yes, the CEC for trade then was Mr. Philip Mugo.
So you worked under Mr. Philip Mugo?
Mumo.
Sorry. Mumo. Would you tell this committee, because you were the accounting officer then, Chairman, let the chief officer concentrate. Would you tell this committee if you had incurred any expenses in regards to legal fees or expenditures under any matters that arose?
On KICOTEC?
On your ministry? Did you have any legal expenditures for any legal matters that would have arisen?
Unless I confirm from the expenditures, I cannot tell now.
You are the accounting officer?
Yes, I'm accounting officer. That was
You don't remember any case that could have transpired?
I don't remember. And again, if there was any legal fee, I believe all the legal fee, if I'm not wrong, I need to confirm, all the legal fee was voted at one line for the whole county.
Okay, finally.
But I'll confirm, I can confirm that.
Okay. You are still a member of the board because of your position as chief officer. You are required to be there to give advisory as far as the running of the ministry is concerned and the KICOTEC element. True or false, you sat as a member of the board? I've seen in the witnesses that have come before this committee, we have one Brian Wambua. You worked with Brian Wambua?
Yes.
As a member of the board?
Yes.
Did he serve his term to the end?
No, I think he resigned. Yeah. I'm not sure.
You're not sure what happened. You worked closely with him. Did you fire Mr. Brian Wambua from the board?
I can't fire him because I'm not the appointing authority.
Are you aware if he was fired or not?
What I know is at one point he gave a resignation letter. He didn't give. That's the information I have. So I don't know.
At this point, Chair, I would request if one Brian would also tell the committee.
Wait.
I think, honorable members, you cannot, you are not the chair. I'm the chair. I'm the one to give directions. I said we are going to only engage 2 substantive witnesses on this matter. That is the gentleman who is on now and the chairperson. The chairperson of the board then.
Chair, that's why I'm
because
saying
I'm seeing, you know, remember EACC is also investigating this matter. And after this, they're going to give us a report. So we cannot exhaust everything in today's meeting. We are already past 2 p.m. now.
Just on a point of order.
Yes.
I think maybe it would be fair to allow our colleagues just to prosecute, but not to ask somebody to be called, just to prosecute to the end so that we know what she's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
I think it is important.
You can proceed and prosecute your matter to the end, but don't call in additional witnesses, because I'm seeing we are going to spend a whole day here, because this matter is
just on that ruling, Chair.
very complicated.
It's fine. Let members ventilate. But at the end of the day, you will be the final authority on who comes and who does not come. So if a member feels that somebody needs to be called, they can say, Chair, call so and so. At the end of the day, you will make the decision of who is coming and not coming. So I don't think it would be fair then to require of members not to ask certain people to come, because they are not directing, they're just suggesting. But just on that ruling.
Okay, because
Chair, not finished, and actually, if you are
I will allow you to prosecute your matter to the end, and even allow Brian to say something.
Thank you, Chair.
In regards to the point that you are raising.
Asante.
But
And
just
thank you,
members, just note
Senator
that,
Wambua, for that,
time-
because I've even said, through you, Chair, you understand? Such that I would want to get a clarity, which is very beneficial to this committee. And as much as ESCC is here, the matter of KICOTEC is a national matter now. All in all, I would want, if you would allow Brian to tell us, just very briefly in 2-3 minutes, why he chose to resign. Because it's a very unique scenario. He seems to be the only member of the board who took a very different decision, and Brian chose to resign, which brings curiosity. Why did Brian decide to resign?
I will allow, I'm giving you flexibility because I know you came from Kitui. So you may be knowing something that we don't know. So Brian, start by taking the oath. Clerk.
I, Brian Charlo Ambua, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this committee in respect to the matters before the committee shall be truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Aya, can you respond to the issues raised by Senator by telling us whether you are fired or resigned voluntarily?
Thank you, Chair.
And under what circumstances?
I did not resign, although I had contemplated to do so, but my appointment was illegally terminated. The reasons I've never gotten even to date.
Excuse me, can you go through the other way? Go through the other way.
You can just briefly tell us, I was appointed on this year, this gazettement, I worked like this, I contemplated because of ABC. Just quickly.
I was appointed in February 2020. Sorry, 2020. I served until July 2022. That's when I realized in our WhatsApp group, the chairman had shared that my appointment was revoked. I was not given a reason.
Because what about another time? Be complete. The chairman so and so.
Okay,
Give
chairman, our chairman, a former chairman Patrick Ngole Ombua, shared in our WhatsApp group a script that there's a gazettement and my appointment has been revoked. That's how I learned even my termination of service. Then thereafter, I went to the court. Then Waziri reached me through a lawyer. CCM Waziri was Esther Kilonzi, who reached me through a lawyer. I found that she agreed that she was wrong, I was right, so I forgive her, and I left the board. That's how I left the board.
What made you contemplate to resign? What were the circumstances that you ended up being fired?
Because what you are saying borders criminality. Because when you say it's a complex matrix. So ESCC, have you completed the investigation of this KICOTEC, and where does the file stands now? No. I mean,
these matters were being prosecuted at committee level, whereby the CCM, CCM trade, Madam Esther Kilonzi stopped, through our subtext, stopped the and it was not the best time to resign, although that is the time I had contemplated resigning, but I asked myself that position. So I kept on fighting until such a time when
you fought for things to be done.
Esther Kilonzi.
Okay.
And also the county secretary. You can see the county secretary is writing a letter appointing to us. And you know the board is the one who should hire the CEO.
Yes.
Then and those powers, I may be wrong, they are not transferable, isn't it?
Yes.
So if they are not transferable, how can you write a letter to us appointing a certain individual from
Another.
a department of the executive as a governor to come and run KICOTEC. I mean, when you oppose, are you not within your mandate?
Okay.
True you are. So those are kind of things that we could not. This board, we are talking about the board here. It's a board that took 6 months to be inducted. The autonomy we are talking about here, there was no autonomy. Where is the autonomy?
Mm-hmm.
So we kept fighting as a board. I know that a lot of things will be handed to the board, but there was a lot.
Just
and
finally,
we kept on fighting.
Okay, just
Yeah.
Finally, as you sit, maybe another member has, did you, that particular duration as you worked as members of the board, did you question the one, Georgina Musembe, on the cash withdrawals as a board member?
Thank you, Senator. You know, when the board came in, we find nothing in terms of even personnel. So the first board meeting, I have the evidence,
Yes.
the first board meeting, we asked on the formative stages that the executive to give us at least, the top personnel, the management, so that as we regroup as a board, we can recruit ours. So we are relying on the management that were appointed by the executive through the CCM, the CEO, the finance manager, the human resource manager, and other managers, a procurement manager, that kind of line. So at that point, the financial statement we are talking about here, we could not, because the person who was handling the financial statement was occupied in other areas. So he could not give us the financial statement on time. As a board, within the wisdom of the board, we hired somebody, O&M Ngodo, to come and assist these financial statements. So you can see it was on formative stages, whereby people like the chief officer, trade, that's why we appointed him as a signatory, because it's a lot to release from the government to KICOTEC, with the aim of when all things are settled to KICOTEC side, then now we can have our own team.
So you did not question the withdrawals by Georgina?
We questioned the withdrawal.
What did she say?
And the withdrawal came this way. The board had said that we had resolved we will be approving payments on a particular schedule, which you usually gave her. She will present. I'm lucky because I sat in the finance committee. So she will bring the schedule, then you approve. But the issue of withdrawal, the cash money, 500, that's to me is new. It's new because at the end of the day, the financial statements, this is what we pay the cash flows, this is what the expenses, this, all of them, they are in one bucket. There are no specific that you can remove this or this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Senator Wambua, the last question, and then we move to the next witness.
So, Chair, I will go back to Siongela. Be evidenced by the chairperson of the Siongela Youth Polytechnic to this point stands unchallenged. So maybe somebody will challenge it, but to this point, it stands unchallenged. I want to ask the former Chief Officer, Makau, do you still insist? Chair, if the normal does not engage you, because this
Proceed.
is a serious issue.
Proceed.
So, Chair, I'm asking the former Chief Officer whether he still insists on record and under oath that the land on which KICOTEC stands today belongs to the county government of Kitui.
Senator, through the chair, sorry. From the account of the Siongela team, Siongela Polytechnic team. The land belonged to them, to Siongela, not the county government. That the ownership of land is the name that appears on the title. And the title of the land that where KICOTEC sits reads Siongela Polytechnic.
Don't be smart with me, Macau. I'm just asking, because you had said initially that the land belongs to the county government of Kitui. I'm asking whether you still maintain that position. And don't take this thing personal. It's not about you and me. We just want to know what happened, because there are other questions that will follow. Don't take it personal. There's nothing personal here. So it's now your record that the land does not belong to the county government of Kitui. It belongs to Siongela Youth Polytechnic.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, on 4th of December 2019, confirmed to this Senate committee that on that date, you were the chief officer, Ministry of Trade. Go on record.
Yes, I was.
Thank you. Now, in your earlier statement, you said you were not aware of any dispute of land between the county government of Kitui, the executive, and the Siongela Youth Polytechnic. Is that still your position on record and under oath?
Yes, it is still my point.
So, if I say to you that, respectively, that then your response is a clear demonstration of the level of incompetence that informed the county government of Kitui then that a chief officer in a department does not know that there is a dispute over land on a project where the department where he is a chief officer has put in hundreds of millions of public money. Would I be right to say that?
No, you'll not be right.
Okay.
Because, as you say, the public participation was done. And
We'll
that
get
process,
there.
Yes,
We'll get there.
that's okay.
We'll get there. So, Chair, with that question, see you on the line of capacity, because capacity is also an important one. You have a point of order, you can.
I guess I want to give you a quick rejoinder. And it's still you prosecuting. Perhaps through the chair and through the senator now. When did the witness become aware of the dispute of land between, or did he ever come, like, when did you realize that there's a dispute of land between Siongela and the county and KICOTEC? Just wait, because from where I see it, it appears that you have just realized it from the account of the Siongela, I think, management today, right now. So I just want to know when that was established, but through the subsequent questions you might ask Senator.
Did you ever, are you actually even, as you speak now, do you know that there was ever a dispute between the Siongela Youth Polytechnic and the executive arm of the county government of Kitui?
Senator, to be honest, the issue of the dispute of KICOTEC and KICOTEC land at Siongela came to my attention after I left Trade, Ministry of Trade. I didn't know about it when I was there.
Okay, that's a good one. So, following on the issue of capacity, and I said, good people, we are just trying to get to the bottom of a very complex matter, and nobody should take this any personally. On the issue of the capacity of the officer then that served the people of Kitui that time, you said your CCM was one Philip Mumo, yeah?
Yes.
How often did you consult with them on
operations of KICOTEC?
Frequently, on a daily basis mostly.
On a daily basis. Do you know the circumstances under which Mumo left office?
Yes.
What happened?
He was impeached by the assembly.
Reason?
The reason was
Chair, you are talking to the entire committee. We want to hear, so don't just whisper. Yeah.
Your witness,
Project them
your
forward.
answer should be chair.
Yes.
And then you answer. So that, because you are talking to the committee chaired by a chair.
Chair, I'm sorry about that. The Minister of Trade then, CCM, was one Philip Momo, was impeached by the county assembly. I don't know when the year was, I think, but by then it left the Ministry of Trade. And the reason why he was impeached was his papers were questionable.
So now, after the impeachment, did he go to KICOTEC to perform any duties in KICOTEC?
Not, Chair, not any incidents I'm aware of.
But Chair, I will make two comments and then for me I will be done. One, here is a chief officer for trade under which KICOTEC lies. He knows everything else, including shillings and cents on the money that went into KICOTEC, but he doesn't know that the institution has a problem in terms of land ownership with Siongela Youth Polytechnic. That's just a matter to note. And don't forget, Chair, he's doing it under oath. Secondly, Chair, this committee has been presented with two witnesses. The CEO of Siongela Youth Polytechnic and a former board member, Mr. Brian, who I will say on record, Chair, are poster boys of how a rogue executive arm of the county government can manipulate, intimidate, and harass officers to perform duties outside of the law. Chair, and when we retreat, and if it pleases you, we will make available details of how actually KICOTEC, and that's where I began, KICOTEC, was fair and square, a special purpose vehicle whose only intention was to siphon money from the county government of Kitui. That, Chair, evidence, some of it is before you. You've heard of how people literally invaded land and took it away. What that lady did not tell you, and as I conclude, Chair, is that in fact there were very, very concerted efforts to close Siongela Youth Polytechnic and transfer all the students to Wanzoa Youth Polytechnic, which is more than 15 kilometers from Siongela, so that the gravy train could gain momentum. Chair, I submit.
Very well. As the chair, I also have a right to interrogate this witness as a final person before I move to EACC. Mr. Witness, you indicated to this committee that the monies that used to come from the county government were through your department. Do you still hold that view?
Yes, Chair.
That all the monies that came to the department, came to this KICOTEC, were through your department?
Clarity. Maybe I need to clarify, Chair.
Yes.
There was no money that was transferred to KICOTEC, but the money that was allocated to the Ministry of Trade.
Yes.
Was
in
voted,
terms of equipment.
Yes,
and all that.
the money was allocated to the Ministry of Trade, which procured the items. Then they were transferred to KICOTEC when KICOTEC was formally gazetted and became an independent unit.
Right. Were you allocated COVID-19 money? And for what purpose?
Yes, there was some funds that were allocated to us by the County Assembly and by the Executive. And it was, I think it was 55 million shillings. And this money, according to the approved budget, we were supposed to procure some items for KICOTEC.
So what business did KICOTEC have with COVID-19? What were you manufacturing there?
KICOTEC started as a uniform production unit, and we were targeting schools, primary and secondary schools in the county, because most of the uniform was coming outside the county. Then when COVID broke out, KICOTEC transformed into production of PPEs, that is a face mask, scrubs, and some other items. We had orders from all over the country.
Which means you made quite a significant amount of money.
I can say so. There were some sellings that we made some sales, because we were doing the main source of income was even today I think is the Kenya Police, because we were making uniforms for them. We had Kenya Police, we had the Kakamega County.
Now I'm coming to Kenya Police. That I will come to. But committee members, I think this matter of COVID, we will need to look at it deeper.
Okay.
Because as Senator Wambua said, this company, possibly, it was a conduit to steal money from the county. Now, tell us about the tenders you got from the national government.
Yeah.
The huge tenders you got from the national government.
Yeah.
And then proceed to tell us where the money is. Because we have looked at your financial performance, we don't seem to see that money.
What I remember is we had orders from the Ministry of Interior to produce chief's uniform, and I think DC's uniform, if I'm not wrong. We had orders from the Kenya Police. We had orders from Kakamega County, Kiambu County, Mombasa, and I'm not sure that we did for KWS. I think it's the time we had a negotiation with KWS. They all paid. I think there are some counties that has not, even Kisumu County we did. But Chair, I do not have the nitty-gritties of that information. If I knew this information would come up, I would have asked the management.
We have just read the law, your
Yes.
own law that talks about accountability.
Yes.
Where you and the chair and the board members, you are accountable. And we are asking you, you got big orders. You know how many chiefs are in this country? How many chiefs do you think we have in this country?
I don't know.
Assistant chiefs and the chiefs and all those people. There are many. And you are given an order to do for them their uniforms. So the question we are asking, where is that money? In your financial report, where is that money?
Chair, and on behalf of the board, the money, what was paid, can be traced to the account of KICOTEC and to the financial records of the KICOTEC. As we speak now, I do not have the nitty-gritties, but if it is needed, we can provide that information. It is in the office.
Honorable members, I think we will not proceed further. I will be giving directions on what we are going to do next. In fact, the other witness, the chairperson, you are not off the hook yet. We will have another session to grill you. But I want to make several directives. Number one, that we would like the county government to provide to this committee a complete certified bank statement, starting from the date when the accounts were open to present. Certified bank statement for the two bank accounts, the revenue account and the operational accounts. Because what has been provided here is only for 2 months. That is not adequate for members to interrogate. Number two, we would also want to be given the specific procurement plan for this KICOTEC, the relevant procurement documents, especially the ones procuring the equipments and the constructions and all that, and the relevant budgets which were approved by the county assembly. That should be provided to us. The budget for all the affected financial years from 2018 to 2021 to the period under which the amount of 168 million is covered. So that should be provided. Number three, the clerk has indicated to me that all the summons were sent out to all the people who are to appear, all the persons who are to appear before this committee, including the former governor and the board members and the Siongila. I have noted that all the other witnesses have come, except the former governor. So we are again going to issue fresh summons for her to appear before us. And on that day of appearance, Governor, we are going to excuse you. We will have the board members and the entire CEC team that was there. Because the CEC team that was there, they have been implicated in the takeover of the land. Governor, I think you will still have to come. Accompany your former colleague to come. The other directive is that all the other people who have been mentioned, including Georgina Musembi, the summons should be sent to Georgina Musembi, Henry Kimanzi, and Faith Mona to appear on the same day. Now, this is the second time we are issuing summons to the former governor to appear, and if she will not appear, the other consequences will follow. So those are the directives.
Just on a point of order.
Yes.
Just on a point of order. Legal, could you explain to this committee how the summons were served to all these members who came here, and also with the former governor, so that we make sure that whichever service you use, there's a certificate of service.
Chair, we have the affidavit of service. You could give me maybe just a few minutes to just extract it. It will give us the details as to how service was done.
Yeah, let us give a few minutes.
Yeah, point of order.
What is your point of order?
My point of order is that in the request for all the financial statements, Chair, may I also plead that we get list of all signatories to those accounts from inception to 2021, all signatories. If there's any changes, let that will be clear. And with the resolution of mandate for all those signatories, there is resolution of mandate for each and every signatory so that we are sure about the withdrawals that have been made?
The signatories, in fact, that was one of our earlier directives. I don't know whether those signatories appeared today. They are here. There were 2 signatories who were summoned to appear. They were all CECs. Are they here? CEOs?
Yeah, CEOs. I think you should be here. According to through you, Mr. Chairman, according to the Auditor General's report.
Yes.
FY 21-22. They questioned why the CEOs are the signatories of the accounts of the entity called KICOTEC. And they say that is against good corporate governance.
Yeah.
So it's the CEOs. And they need to say who they are. Because from what we were taught by the acting CEO, there are no signatories. I don't know whether that was true. Who are the signatories, in short?
I know the CEO was a signatory, the chief executive officer, and chief officers of trade, and chief officer of trade, and there must be another one who is, and finance. But 2 were to sign. Those were the what do you call it?
Chair, I don't want to put pressure on this. I want that in the submissions that you're going to have in the ruling that you have made, Chair, that be made very clear. All signatories, if there is any changes, indicate those, and most importantly, resolutions with regards to those signatories.
So you will provide us that information, but those signatories should also appear before the committee. Yeah, on that day.
Just on a point of order, I'd like to request through you, Mr. Chairman,
yes,
if it's possible. Governor, I think you're in the mission to make sure that you right what was wrong and make sure we put everything together, correct? Now, I've just perused the bank statements here. There are a lot of cash withdrawals. There are transfers from KICOTEC, I don't know to where. May I request that you sit with your team, your finance team, and analyze the statements, but also submit the statement to us. But you create a spreadsheet where you write all the withdrawals by Georgina and everybody else, and then all the other transfers, so that we can be able to make sense. So that when you come here, it is easy, even before we give it to our team, for us to be able to know how much was withdrawn, and then when we're interrogating Georgina, we will know what was the money for. And in terms of that, I've heard your CEO saying that the authority was 2 to sign. I would like to know so that we are guided whether to also call the bank here, because if it is 2 to sign, to withdraw, we will need to know whether both of them withdrew or only one person withdrew, and how that worked.
Yeah, just a small follow-up on that, Chair. Through you, Mr. Wagin. Around May of 2020, you were still a chief officer, right? May 2020. Were you a chief officer? Yes, you were. So you also a signatory to.
I was a signatory
to the account, right? But Chair, I've just noticed that, not getting the details of it, just take note. On the 19th of May 2020, some 10 million was deposited in KICOTEC Operations account. And on the same day, several transfers from the same account. 1 million, 1.2, 1.1, 1.4. And just wondering.
Yeah, that ties into what Senator Ledamo was saying.
Yes.
I do not want us to reopen that because we dealt with it extensively.
Otherwise, we just take
They are going to give us a summary of cash withdrawals, how they withdrew money.
But
So now the legal, can you give us a status of the summons, affidavit of service?
Yes, Chair. I can confirm that the summons were served to Her Excellency, the former Governor, Honorable Charity Ngilu, through her number, which was duly received with double grade ticks, and this was done in line with the provisions of Order 5, Rule 22B of the Civil Procedure Amendment Rules of 2020. So yes, she was served.
So we can say she didn't honor our summons. So we are going to reissue fresh summons for her to appear before us. What's your point of order, Senator Miraj?
Another summon is a fine for not appearing and honoring the previous summon.
I'll go by what members decide.
No, Chair, let me just clarify that, and I think legal has to be here. The law under Section 19 of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act gives that witness an opportunity. In fact, the law says that where a witness has been summoned and failed to appear, or appear but does not satisfy the committee, taking into consideration her status, the committee may post a fine. So what I'm saying is that we have to do this thing correctly within the law. The witness has got to come here, and then once the witness is here, at that point is when we then determine to file. But if we do fine now, when the witness is not here, it will not be fair. I don't know whether that's
in short what it means.
No. Chair, we have
just hold on. I think the best thing to do is to allow legal to read Section 19 of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act.
Chair, the legal will guide, but we also have contributions to make. The legal will guide.
Just hold on.
You cannot find a witness if they are not here.
Just give the legal an opportunity, and then I will give you an opportunity. Let's start with the legal, please.
Chair, I'm a vice chair of a committee too. So Senator Ledama Olekina should not assume that we are not well conversant with the standing orders.
I want us to be systematic.
They are well conversant.
Let the legal read,
I'm
and then
also
I'll
a
give you
vice
an
chair.
opportunity.
No, it's not fair for him to assume.
Chair, on a point of order.
No, Senator Ledama, you should not
This has
assume.
got nothing to do with
We are all members of this committee.
Being a vice chair of another committee, this has got to do with procedure.
Legal proceed.
So
But
can you
Chair,
please read the procedure?
Chair, I have a point of order.
Yes.
Just allow me a point of order. You know, Chair, we were doing very well. I don't know what has happened. We are doing extremely well. Let members ventilate. I don't know why this thing has become such a big problem to us as
members.
Let members ventilate.
Let me guide you.
The
Let me
legal
guide you.
will give direction. Because,
Okay, let me guide you.
I want to react to what Senator Olekina has said.
Let me guide you.
On the matter of at what point do fines set in, and at what point they don't set in.
Okay,
Chair.
understood. What I want us to do, let the legal give us all the options available, and then we can now discuss which option to go for. Just allow the legal to read out. Yeah.
Chair, through the chair, Section 19, if I may. Procedure if witness fails to appear. Subsection 1, where a witness summoned does not appear or appears but fails to satisfy the relevant House of Parliament or committee, the relevant House or committee may impose upon the witness such fine not exceeding 500,000 shillings, having regard to the witness's condition in life and all the circumstances of the case. 2, a person may pay the fine under subsection 1 to the clerk of the relevant house. And 3, Parliament or its committee may order the arrest of a person who fails to honor a summons.
Yeah.
Now, Senator Wambua, you can
listen to me. You know, and I don't know why my very good friend, my brother, Senator Ledama Olekina, who is a ranking member in this house and a leader in the house, would want to take us in that direction, because he knows very well that there is precedence. In the last parliament, on the same matter of the governor of Kitui County, she was fined for non-appearance under a summon. And you know, this is the way it goes. You are summoned you are invited, you don't come, you are summoned, you don't appear, and then there is a consequence for non-appearance on account of a summon. What I'm hearing you saying is, now we will summon her again, and then if she doesn't appear on the second summon, there will be consequences. Are there no consequences for the initial non-appearance under summon? We did it before. We find, I'm not saying we should now. There's a precedent. If this committee decides they cannot do it, then they just can't do it.
Just to clarify what I said, I actually read from my mind here, section of the law, as it says. There's nowhere in my statement did I say that the witness should not be fined. All I said is that the witness will be summoned, but we follow the procedures. When the witness is sitting across here, then we can be able to deal with the matter of why she never appeared. And then at that point, this committee may, not shall, may fine that individual. That is the law, it's not me. And I think the law has just been read.
Chair.
Senator Miraj, I know you are in the mood of fining, but proceed.
No, you can even arrest. It is within the powers and privileges. Because the former governor did not send any communication to say why she's not going to appear today. It could be an even different scenario if there was communication. But he just didn't communicate back. So finding her was on the lesser side of punishing her non-appearance to this committee. So if we were to advise you, Chair, we should be arresting because there is no excuse or communication of her not honoring our summon. So Chair, you just go ahead and fine before we ask the IG to bring her here.
Senator Mutinda? I'm happy that is coming from women leaders.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I don't want to be crucified by feeder.
My former governor of Kitui has set a bad precedent. This house, this committee needs to be respected. A current governor of Kitui has appeared before this committee twice on the same matter with no delay. And yet, the substantive witness, who is the former governor of Kitui, has refused to even give any response in regards to this particular summons. The law is very clear, powers and privilege is very clear, the legal has read it out. And I think as a committee, we go to 19.3, which says, if a witness does not appear, the committee has mandate to give direction. And we give direction and say, arrest the witness. Let her appear through arrest. Even those monies, we are not interested.
Legal?
Chair, maybe before let's hear what...
Before legal, Senator Eddie. Eddie?
Chair, you know this committee, President is set with common practice. What I am humbly varying is what my senior said, that you fine or you offer a punishment under that section of the law when the person is seated here. My question would be, if you offer 3-4 summons and the person doesn't appear, would you still go and summon? The answer is no, right? So the thing is, I think that unless there's clemency, which happens in any court, right? Because now we are sitting under 125. When you are offered a summon, you received a summon. My understanding is this: if you don't show up, we fine you, and then we can be able to invite you again, right? We can choose not to go to
the mouth is 2 years.
Yes.
The mouth is 2 years.
Yes.
You appear.
Yes.
Under summon, Chairman.
Yes.
Unless there is compelling reason why you cannot appear, which reason then you communicate in writing.
Exactly.
Here's a situation where There is no written.
So I'm talking about a situation where there was no communication, which then basically translates to a disregard to what the communication was. And that disregard is what is punished under that law. Okay? That disregard is not punished when you appear here, it's punished when you don't show up here. So that we can choose to offer another summon and not punish, but under the law, we should punish and then offer another summon, or go to the higher degree, which is arrest and appear here and still be
just on a
fined.
And you see, ultimately, it is not Senator Ledama's Olikina way, which it has to be the committee way. And this committee does not, operate on its own. They are presidents. Yes. In the last parliament, and that is why it is always important to have a legacy report. We did, when I was sitting in the Committee of Public Accounts Investment Committee, which has got a similar mandate to this committee, we did find 2 governors when I was sitting there. The governor of Kwale, when he was summoned and never appeared. The second time when he received new summons, when he appeared, the first matter which had to be dealt with was why did you fail? Why did you not appear? When he failed to satisfy the committee then fined him 200,000 shillings. Number 2, the former governor of Kitui, who is a subject of discussion here, suffered the same consequences. We invited her, she never appeared. When now we sent her new summons and she appeared, we first of all fined her for failing to have, let me say, you will say how you remember. We fined her 500,000 shillings and she paid that money to the clerk. Now, it is no, yes, you'll have your say. My recommendation to this committee would be this, that we issue fresh summons for the former governor to appear. When the former governor appears following the summons, if she appears, we first of all deal with the matter as to why she never appeared when she was summoned to appear with the rest of the team. At that point, we make a determination, having considered her position and her reasoning. That is my suggestion. Those are my 2 cents.
Chair.
And if I finish, can I finish?
Members, order. We have one speaker on the floor. Can we allow him to finish?
Listen, it's me. I don't really care which way it goes, but my suggestion would be very simple: that we issue fresh summons, let the witness appear. When the witness appears, we prosecute the matter as to why she never appeared. If we are not convinced, as per the law says, we fine the witness. Hypothetically, can I finish? Okay. If the witness does not appear, then we can use 2 and 3.
Which standing order is that? Which law are you using?
Honorable members, now the chair. Honorable members.
But Chair, Ledama asked.
Order. Honorable members, I'm giving you your mic for 1 minute, and then legal,
give me
give
1 minute,
us
Chair.
the consequences, and then I will
Give me 1 minute.
direction.
Chair, give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute.
Chair.
After Eli.
Chair, I do appreciate so much the previous precedents that was set by the previous houses. But in this committee, we have also summoned and fined. The precedents that we've set in this committee. For information, Senator Edama, we summoned the governor for Nakuru, and we also fined the governor of Nakuru. But when she came here and explained herself, this committee had the power to lift off that fine. Okay? You see, when this is the whataboutism conversation that we're having, because when you say, will you issue fresh summon, what happens if that one is not honored? You will be in the same awkward situation discussing why we must only punish when she ever appears. I think that what happens in this case is that you issue fresh summon, yes, but you issue that fresh summon with a communication of a fine of 500,000. Okay, that fine can be lifted if she appears here and the communication from her side is satisfactory that I didn't come because of X, Y, Z, which is what the law says there, that somebody could have had exceptional circumstances that
is gone.
Chair, I'm almost finishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my proposal as a member of the committee is that, one, fine for lack of communication and not appearing. Number two, issue fresh summon. If that summon is dishonored, despite the fine and fresh summon, then we go to part 3, whereby now you're seeking for arrest and being forced to come to the committee. That's how I understand it, because of
1
the
minute
that we have done.
for Senator Wambua.
Chair, I'll be very brief.
And then I will make a direction.
Chair, I'll be very brief. You know, this is a house of record. And again, respectively to Senator Ledama Olekina, you know as much as I do that the fine that was imposed on former Governor Charity Kalukingilo for non-appearance under summon was issued on the day that she did not appear. And you know that. And the answer can bear me out. The secretary is here. In fact, Chair, I request, so that I'm borne out, I request that the next meeting, let the Secretariat produce the answer on how Governor Ngilo was fined 500,000 on the day she did not appear, and not on the day that she appeared to explain why she did not appear the first time. Secondly, Chair, and the last one. It's not like I'm pushing for this fine so that I don't know what happens. What I'm just doing, Chair, is to protect the institution of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. I'm a leader in that institution. And if we allow situations where the Senate, a committee of the Senate can issue a summon to a former public servant or anyone, and they just decide not to appear and not even communicate that they are not appearing, and you want to say now, we wait for them to come, then we can find them. Chair, there is a dignity that we must take care of this institution. My vote, if this was ever to go to a vote, is that issue fresh summons, but you fine on account of non-appearance under a summon. I thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, I think I will have to give direction here after consulting the legal and the clerk. You know, the consequence of not appearing is either fine or an order of arrest. Yes. Now, we are not ordering arrest today. We are fining 500,000 for not appearing today. And honorable members, we have gone through this precedent before. When the governor of Nakuru failed to appear before us, we summoned her, but we issued a fresh summon. And when she came on the second summon, she was able to explain very well, satisfactorily to us, why she was not able to come on the first summon. And she gave the document indicating that she was out of the country and she was hospitalized. So we had to vary the summons and withdraw that fine. So if the governor, former governor of Kitui, comes on the second summon and she is able to explain her absence satisfactorily, then the committee can make a decision. But for now, we are fining 500,000 shillings for non-appearance and issuing French summons on a date that the clerk is going to advise.
Chair,
so, honorable members, I don't want us to discuss
it's not
that.
discussing. I just want to request you to be decisive. You either fine and not have an opportunity to come back and discuss it, or you wait, she comes, and then you fine. You have to be decisive.
We are fined. Okay. We are fined 500,000. Let's go to the second agenda.
And offering a new summon.
and I knew someone we should go and should be delivered.
But Chair, I have to caution that under our standing orders, whatever the governor will be saying when she comes at a summon is not material to this conversation, because you cannot anticipate that debate then under our standing orders.
Very well.
Yeah.
Well guided. So, honorable members, for this particular meeting, we had also invited EACC to appear before us, and I see a big team from EACC. The Chief Executive Officer of EACC, Mr. Twalib Baraka, has written to us and is going to be represented by the Director, Field Services and Coordination, Mr. Jackson Mue, and is accompanied by the Regional Manager, EACC Lower Eastern, Jafet Mbaithalu. So I now give this opportunity to Mr. Jackson Mue to make a presentation from EACC, and you can advise this committee, because I know this investigation is active, whether we can proceed as currently constituted, or we can release some of the people to leave this room, including the members of the Fourth Estate and others.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Senators, the Governor Kitui, and all invited in this committee meeting. Like you have indicated, the matter I'm going to lay before this committee includes a matter which is currently active. And in the course of investigation by EACC, EACC has had interaction with some of the persons who are attending today's sessions. And therefore, Chair and honorable members, I will be requesting that while EACC is making the presentation, the officers from Kitui County Government excuse not be in attendance because of the interactions that the Commission has had with them. Because while I will be presenting, I may share some of the findings of the investigations which are currently ongoing, information which is a privilege to come to the Senate, but may not at this particular stage be right to share that information with the officers.
So
that's a request.
You are saying be specific, entire officers, including the governor?
I think it would be better.
Or
Chair, the investigations were sent from the previous administration to the current, and therefore I will be requesting they all excuse themselves.
The members of the county assembly?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so all members of the, including, we will give you 5 minutes and then you come in for further direction. 5 minutes, and then you come back. Yeah.
Not very direct. Not very direct.
Yeah. Honorable members, let us respect the request of EACC. Okay, excuse me, please live in silence. Governor, you have a problem with...
Yeah, I thought we could be excused, and whatever directive may come out of the presentation by EACC can be communicated to us.
Yeah.
Because you know very well I had to sacrifice to be here. Today we had elections of the officials of Council of Governors. But we hear even now, I think they are almost over. But I wanted not to come back.
Okay, so I think that's
me.
a fair request because this is just an internal report they are presenting to us for our purpose. So we can release the entire Kitui County to live, but I think
a bit of a variation. Sorry for interrupting, Chairman. Some of my members can come back.
No, they can't come back without you.
Okay, then.
Actually, we have exhausted the issues we had with you.
Yeah.
And we have given directions. Those directions are going to be put in writing,
yeah,
and communicated to you.
Thank you.
So I think it's a fair request. We can release you and your entire team. But I will beg the EACC, allow members of the county assembly to sit in. But the entire county government and the board and the former board, you are released. Pull down so that we can begin. So Jackson, you can proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Senators, for encouraging us. Allow me to make this presentation on behalf of the EACC. This is a report on the status of investigation on the Kitui County Textile Center. And by way of introduction, Honorable Chair and members, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is a statutory body established under the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act of 2011. The Act was enacted pursuant to the requirements under Article 79 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. The mandate of the Commission is to combat corruption and economic crimes in Kenya through law enforcement, prevention, public education, and the promotion of standards and practices of integrity, ethics, and anti-corruption. This is a report to the County Public Investment and Special Funds Committee in relation to a written request by the letter which was received by the Commission on the 30th of September 2024. The committee had considered the Auditor General's report on the financial statements of the Kitui County Textile Center for the financial years 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021, and 2021-2022, and the committee sought to be appraised by the EACC on any investigations being carried out by the Commission on the Kitui County Textile Center and the findings thereon. Honorable Chair and members, the Commission received